We stood and signed 6 additional SNAP waivers. Louisiana, Texas, West Virginia, Colorado, blue and red states, to stop the selling of sugary drinks and junk food. But in those states, no longer can you use taxpayer dollars to do it.
It is being called a major win for the MAHA movement. It is a major win. It's not just being called that. More states removing junk food from SNAP programs. That's food stamps, prioritizing real nutrition over processed snacks, sugary drinks. That brings the total to 12 states, so 1 dozen so far, all restricting SNAP purchases of unhealthy foods, beverages, under the new USDA waivers. Caroline, will it be 50? No.
No, it's not. It's not going. I'm not really sure how this is going to play out. But I think zooming out here, the fact that SNAP is for low-income Americans, I think, is the biggest point. Because for a long time, I think we assumed as a culture that Make America Healthy Again, all these attempts at organic eating, holistic living, was a luxury that only the higher echelons of society could really afford. But the stats don't lie. 25% of SNAP dollars go to candy and soda. That is a moral abomination. It used to be that during the Great Depression era, when you think of poor Americans, you think of undernourished, starved people. It's actually the opposite now, that they're overnourished in a way that causes heart disease and hypertension and an obesity crisis. If we're going to subsidize food in America for those who are the most needy, that's fine. But we shouldn't be subsidizing an obesity crisis. And this is the first step in the right direction to actually remove those incentives, because we know that the food companies, especially the junk food companies, are in Congress all the time lobbying to keep basically the SNAP benefits, because they know that at the grocery store checkout line, a lot of these low-income Americans in these very, very disadvantaged communities are buying crap.
Yeah, I actually was taking a libertarian view on this until I read those stats. How much, because I was giving an example of like a single mother who has SNAP benefits and now she'll be deprived of her right to buy her kid a Coke. But I'm talking about one Coke. When 20% or 25% of your SNAP benefits are being used for junk food, sweets, and sugary drinks, it's crossing a line. I mean, ultimately, these benefits are provided to provide people with nutrition, and they are making bad decisions. I still think there's an educational element to this, where people have to learn to make those decisions for themselves. But in the meantime, I remind everybody that the SNAP benefits are taxpayer dollars. These are tax dollars that we give to people to nourish themselves, and soda is not nourishing.
Yeah, I'm with you. Changing availability or access doesn't necessarily change behaviors, but at least it's a step in the right direction. It's always appalled me when you go through the store and you can see that this is SNAP or EBT eligible at the junk food that it is. But again, I say that from a privileged position of maybe spending too much time digging into what's in that. So there is an education component that we have to do a better job. But this is the first point. Cut off the easy access, then start educating why you should be making different choices. And then that plays into...
Well, it was just like with Bloomberg. I never agreed with his soda ban. You know, you can,
or salt ban.
We ban things. People will buy 5 small sodas or whatever it is to be able to make up for it. If they don't understand why soda is bad and they can't make that choice, then that's really the core issue.
But you know why? I used to just bitch and complain about Bloomberg, and my husband said, "You're gonna hate it when he's gone." And
you did.
It was followed by de Blasio.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so I ate my words.
Yeah.
But the reason that Bloomberg was so fixated on sugar and salt was because of the costs, the healthcare costs to the city of New York, because the city runs a hospital and healthcare system. And then also the insurance cost on all of the city employees. And that is a huge financial burden.
Yeah.
He was like, so we need to start focusing on making the people who work for the city, who go into city hospitals and healthcare clinics, somehow get them on the road to better health, because it's going to bankrupt the city.
Well, and that's what
I
you're
talking
talking
about.
about.
One other thing that's bankrupting the city is the whole system itself, because there is a lot of corruption. I hope in addition to trying to make people eat the right things and avoid obesity in kids, et cetera, they are also looking at the corruption in this system, because it has become... I was talking to Paul Morrow, who knows a lot about the way the city runs, the sort of dirty underside of the city. And one of them is the way in which drug dealers will use SNAP cards in order to, they'll get a number of them under assumed names, sell some of them, split the proceeds with other drug dealers and go on their way. So there's the system. I understand the mothers and the children who need it desperately, who are in dire straits. But there are a lot of people who are gaming the system in a very ugly way and using it to perpetuate crime in the city, in addition to other things.
I just wonder how much this is a sliver of what needs to happen for the nation's health, but because we are a wealthy nation, our calories are very cheap.
Yeah.
And we are blessed and cursed with that, and that's kind of part of the problem.
You both are talking about taking a holistic view, though, right? Not just access to junk foods, but the whole healthcare system, the cost of the system. You're talking about criminal enterprises monopolizing resources that should be given to others, and I think that's what's happening now, is everyone's taking a step back going, if we change this here, what's the rest of the impacts, and how do we have a holistic view of health for individuals, but also fiscal health for the government, for cities, for the nation?
Dagan hit the nail on the head. If you don't solve this problem at its source, big government is going to get involved one way or another. If you have a bloated healthcare infrastructure because all of Americans are a lot of Americans are increasingly morbidly obese or chronically unhealthy, then somehow we're going to end up subsidizing that as well. So we might as well solve it at the root, which is the food supply.
By the way, Musk would be happy. Dietary guidelines, they have been reduced from 453 pages down to 4 to 6 pages. So there is an attempt also to downgrade the government's role in every single thing we eat, because there's a little too much of that
Well,
going
and their
on as
pyramid was wrong anyway.
Terribly wrong.
But it gets back to paraphrase Pulp Fiction.
Not something you hear
Bacon
every day.
is like you're eating bacon. Bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good. You know, it's like you tell someone not to eat that, it's bad for them, and they tell you it tastes good.
But the
Sorry.
chemicals make it more addictive. And that's another thing that we have to look at. Is that ethical? That there are artificial ingredients that are designed to make those things more addictive? Are you a conscious consumer at that point if you can't control really your cravings?
Boom.
That's another can of worms.
Yes, it is.
That's a boom.